Hi everybody, this is Jo from the Crafty Nomad. So I'm just popping on just to do a quick little demo on how I do my quilted words for the Tumbling Spools mini sampler quilts. I know a lot of you are joining in for the sew along at the moment, and I think most people are choosing to do the applique words, but it'd be really fun if people chose to do the quilted ones. So I thought I'd just do a quick demo, try and encourage you to do that. So the first thing you want to do is either trace your words onto your fabric backing. You can do that with a marker that's going to disappear with water or air, or you can perhaps use chalk, or if you're using a dark fabric, I've got mine on white here, but if you're using a dark fabric, one thing I like to do is actually to trace the word onto tearaway stabilizer, which I would then pin to the fabric, and then just stitch right through the stabilizer following the line. Once I've done that, I can then just tear away the paper and you're left with just the stitch outline. So I'll do one of both of those. So that's the first step. The second step is to choose, I chose a triple stitch, and that gives a really thick outline going all the way around. It kind of goes forwards, backwards, forwards over it, so you have to be careful going around in curves, but it does give a nice thick outline. Alternatively, you could just choose thicker thread, so you can do that and give that a try if you prefer. Whilst we're talking about thread, I also wanted to talk about what type of thread you might choose to use for this. So I've got a couple here. This one on the left is a rayon thread. That's by Sulky, just there, and that's what I've used when I've done mine, and I love it because you can just see straight away here, actually in the light of the window, how much this one is catching the light, and how the cotton looks quite dull. So both quite bright colours, but you can see straight away just by looking at this where the light is, that the light really catches hold of this rayon and makes it pop. So that will have the same effect on your words if you choose to use rayon. So I'll probably do one of each so that you can see the difference there. You'll use a walking foot to do the outline. It gives you more control over it. And then once the outlines are done and the tearaway stabilizer, if you're using it, has been torn away, you can then switch to a darning foot on the machine and then fill in the words with any kind of free motion design that you want to use. For one of them, I will use pebbles. I really like pebbles for this because it's so dense, the pattern. It does really fill well, and also it has a lot of thread there, so again you're seeing the colour a lot more defining the word. But I'll do a couple of different ones to show you. Okay, so I've got my needle in the fabric. I've pulled the thread up from the bottom, and I'm just going to do that straight stitch. Now I'm doing a triple stitch, so it's forwards, backwards, forwards. On some machines that can be pictured just as a thick straight line. On others it might be 3 parallel lines together. So every time I pivot round, I'm making sure that the machine's completed all 3 of those stitches per section, so that I don't turn it inadvertently when it's going to go backwards off of the line that I'm following. Okay, so you can go ahead and sew all the way around that until you come back to the beginning part there, and then just make sure to bury your threads, you know, inside the layers of fabric. and then we'll carry on and we'll do that for the others. This is the cotton, so this is the one that I think is going to turn out a little bit dull, and then the rest I'm going to do in the sulky rayon thread so that you can see the difference. Okay, so the only difference when you're using the tracing, the tearaway stabilizer, is to make sure you've got that pinned onto the fabric, as opposed to obviously drawing straight onto the fabric. Other than that, it's exactly the same. You are just gonna stitch around in exactly the same way as you did with the pen line to follow. Yep, and just go, so stitch all the way around just the same, and then when we're done, we're going to just tear that away. Okay, so that's all stitched around now. So all I would need to do now is just really carefully tear along the stitch line. Difficult to do this behind the camera. So yeah, I'm just tearing along the stitch line quite carefully. And then what you can do is you can use a pair of tweezers to pull out any difficult bits. It's obviously far easier to see if you're using the dark fabric, which is when you would normally use the tearaway stabilizer. Obviously on the white fabric or light fabrics, you could definitely be using the pen to trace the word on. But with the dark fabric, this is easier, and it's also easier to remove and to see. Alright, so any little bits can just be taken out with the tweezers, and then it's just the same as the other ones. Alright, so I've switched my darning foot onto the machine, and I've popped the needle in and pulled up the thread from the underneath, and I'm just going to show you the pebble stitch. Okay. So you want this to be quite obvious, so you can definitely go around sort of 2 or 3 times over your pebbles to really get them to stand out. You can do, you know, tiny ones, bigger ones, whatever suits the space of the letter that you're doing, or how you want it to look. The other thing about doing like a pebble design that's really handy is if your outline isn't perfect and you've got some areas there that you weren't very happy with, you can sometimes even them out when you're doing one of the pebbles, just to make it look a little bit smoother if you didn't get that initial smoothness to start with. So you can just start to see it's really starting to fill that space really nicely. And with the several layers of stitches going over each other, it just gives that really nice dense look and makes the thread really pop out. Okay, so there's the letter S all filled with the pebbles, and obviously I would bury the threads and pop some water onto this so that the pen marks would disappear and fade away. On this next letter S, I was planning to just do a small little meander, mini meander, just so that you can see the difference between them. It's quite difficult to get that as dense a meander as the pebbles are. You can see it's starting to emerge now. It's a lot more of a delicate look to it. It's also quite hard to do because obviously the letters are quite small and your stitches can sometimes be a bit big, even with the stitch regulator on. It's quite tricky to get a nice flow when you're trying to do this so tinily. Okay, so there you go. You can see the difference between those two quite obviously. Really, it's quite a gentle look to it, whereas this one is definitely more defined. Okay, so on this last one, I'm just going to do some random kind of geometric-y lines going from side to side. Okay, and there you can see again another kind of different look that you can achieve, and that one's fairly simple. You don't need to be an expert in free motion quilting, but it gives you another kind of look, and that one's quite dense compared to the meander, so it's just another look. Okay, so here are the 4 S's that I've done. So this one on the left I've done with cotton thread, this one's with the rayon, or all 3 of these are with rayon, and 3 of these obviously different styles. So let's just focus in on these 2 here. They are slightly different shades of thread, so obviously it's tricky to tell, but this one is the cotton, and it just isn't catching the light at all, whereas this one, the second one in here, is the rayon, and it does catch the light when you sort of move that around, so it is a lot brighter. Then got the meander, and then just the random lines. So just different ideas really of what you could do.